Let's go. We'll make it a segment, unless I end up saying a bunch of silly things, but, I can always edit it later. Wink, wink, okay?
Lithuanian Commonwealth, it's common to use Poland as a shorthand for it.
It's bad. It's a really bad shorthand. A really inaccurate one, because it's not Poland. It's a union between the Kingdom of Poland and the Grand Duchy of Lithuania. So that's strike one from me.
Part of this is out of ease, but part of it is also because common imagery from Poland-Lithuania is overwhelmingly associated with Poland. The winged...
Yeah, that's bad. Okay, I will explain this. It is associated like this in retrospect, okay? This was exactly because of the rise of the nation state. The rise of the nation state caused that the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth was reinterpreted through the lens of a nation state, of the nation states that formed after World War I, which means that the history of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, which was not a nation state, but more of there's a really good term for this. The term is composite state. It was a composite state. And so, the nation states retroactively basically reinterpreted history to state that Poland basically dominated Lithuania, Ukraine, Belarus, and that was simply not the case because nation states did not exist. It was not Poland, Lithuania, it was one union of many peoples, of many nations, That's a big difference. So this is very incorrect, calling Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth Can you expand on the HRA? Can you expand on this? But yes, calling it Poland is very incorrect. Not exactly, because not exactly. No, not exactly. It's a bit different than the whole New Roman Empire. It was a bit of a different construct. Okay.
Hussars, Polish. The Liberum Veto, Polish. Getting carved
The Liberum Veto was not exactly Polish.
up by your Russian and German-speaking neighbours, Polish.
No, what? No, absolutely what?
German-speaking neighbours, Polish. This raises the question.
No. It was a commonwealth of two nations. What the hell? No.
How Lithuanian was the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth? Now,
It was not Lithuanian, nor it was Polish. It was a commonwealth.
There are many metrics you can use to determine just how Lithuanian the Commonwealth was.
No, you can, because it was not a nation state. It was not a nation state, so it wasn't like, this country is Polish or this country is Lithuanian. Nobody thought in terms like that at the time. Nobody thought of themselves, we are proud of this Polish country or we're proud of this. No, the motto of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth was, this country belongs to the nobles, okay? This country belongs to the nobles, was the credo of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, because the patriotism of the country was based on the social rank, the social position that you had in the country, not on the fact of being Polish or Lithuanian or whatever else.
And of course this varied over time, but perhaps it's easiest to simply look at a map of the territory. So the
No, it doesn't, because you're thinking of it in terms of nation states, and those did not exist at the time.
The Lithuanian Commonwealth was divided into several constituent lands. The two main ones were the Kingdom of Poland and the Grand Duchy of Lithuania. The Commonwealth also had separately administered puppet fiefdoms. The Duchy of Courland, the Duchy of Livonia, and most notably the Duchy of Prussia. So in terms of
Sort of, yeah, that's okay. I won't really say anything because this is close enough to the truth to be true.
territory, as we can see, the Kingdom of Poland was dominant, if not overwhelmingly so. Although you should
Hello, Boogie. So that's not how it went. It wasn't the King of Poland dominating over Lithuania. This is not... Oh, no.
know that this was only because Lithuania ceded this territory to them at the creation of the Commonwealth. The population of Poland-Lithuania at the turn of the 16th century was just over 7.5 million people. By the time it reached its peak in 1618, it was about 11 million. The Kingdom of Poland was the larger of the two halves and was home to about 6 million people at its peak, of which 4 million were Polish. In the Lithuanian half of the Commonwealth, there were about 3 million people, of which
But quote-unquote nationality did not matter during the Commonwealth.
about 1 million were Lithuanian. Now, as you'll have noticed, that means that Lithuanians were a minority within not only the Commonwealth, but within their own half of it. And in terms of ethnic composition, the Commonwealth looked like this, with the Polish being the largest group, followed by Ruthenians, Ukrainians, Lithuanians, Germans, and then Jews. It would seem then at its
Hey, that's great, but I'm not sure why you didn't show the figures here, but Polish people were just 40% of the whole Commonwealth at the time.
Ukrainians, Lithuanians, Germans, and then Jews.
40.
It would seem then, at its height, the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth was only about 10% Lithuanian.
That's not how it worked. That is not how this worked. Oh my god, that's not how it worked.
But this doesn't answer the question fully, since surely the Lithuanians were overrepresented in the ruling and wealthy classes, right? Well,
no, because that's not how it worked. This is interpreting history through the lens of the nation states. It's not like we're Lithuanian and we want representation, we're Polish and we want representation. No, it was we are nobles, we are in charge, we are de facto citizens, and this language happens to be the most spoken, so we will learn it. That's how it worked. The language among Lithuanians was not even Lithuanian, it was Ruthenian, you know?
Sort of. Let's look at language. Polish was an official language of the Commonwealth, along with German, Latin, Hebrew, and of course, Lithuanian.
No, it wasn't.
Wait, no, Lithuanian wasn't actually an official language, that was Ruthenian.
There we go. Which actually became Ukrainian later.
In fact, none of the rulers of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth had spoken Lithuanian for over 100 years at this point. So Lithuanians were overrepresented in the nobility and the merchant classes, but since the Union had begun, they were increasingly sidelined. In fact, much of the Grand Duchy of Lithuania was subject to Polonization, that is, being made to become Polish culturally, and Lithuanians largely weren't seen as equal.
No, there was no Polonization. Jesus Christ, that's so... No. You cannot speak of Polonization, quote-unquote, in a way, because it makes me think of Russification, and Russification was forceful and horrible, and people just learned Polish because Polish nobles had more rights, okay? So all the nobles wanted to have the same rights, and so they Polonized. That's how it happened.
This was made worse by the fact that the Grand Duchy took on the administrative methods of the Polish kingdom, and that there were many in Lithuania that embraced the Polish way of doing things. In importance, Vilnius, the capital of the Grand Duchy, was seen as secondary to the Polish capital Krakow. Young Lithuanian nobles would learn Polish, marry into Polish families, and disregard their old way of life in order to better their social standing. That's not to say that all Lithuanians embraced this. The Grand Duchy was still a separate legal entity, and the Lithuanians...
Yeah, it was illegal because it was a commonwealth of two nations. So yeah, they were separate, but united.
Lithuanians had their own military units too. Units from the Grand Duchy made up about a third of the Commonwealth's military strength, and Lithuanians as well as Poles led troops into battle. And whilst there were Lithuanians within the famed Winged Hussars, they were overwhelmingly Polish. As such, it can safely be said that despite being a whole half of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, the Commonwealth wasn't all too Lithuanian. At its height, Lithuanians made up roughly a tenth of the Commonwealth's population, and over...
Yeah, but I'm going to repeat myself and say again that this is not how it worked.
time the Lithuanian lands became ever more sidelined by its governing authorities. All of this combined with the Polish half holding the superior royal title, hosting the capital, being much more urbanised and being home to the world-famous winged hussars, it's unsurprising that we associate the Commonwealth with Poland, and in fact this view is an accurate one.
I'm sorry. I have to subtitles for this. This view is what?
We associate the Commonwealth with Poland, and in fact this view is an accurate one.
No, it's not. It's as far as from an accurate one as possible. No, it's not. It's horribly inaccurate. Horribly bad. No. That's a misreading of history. I hope he said inaccurate. Let's listen.
I hope you enjoyed this episode, and thank you for watching, with extra thanks to my patrons, much more urbanised and being home to associate the Commonwealth with Poland, and in fact this view is an accurate one.
No, he said this view is an accurate one, which is really bad. Not good video, not a good video. I will have to do a reading of the book on stream, which debunks this hardcore. Okay? That's a segment. Boom. There we go. That's a segment, I guess.